This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Syrian rebels have captured the city of Hama, a major victory in a week-old lightning advance across northern Syria and a devastating new blow to President Bashar al-Assad and his Russian and Iranian allies. The rebels have burst forth into the mount the swiftest battlefield advance by either side since the rebellion against Assad descended into civil war 13 years ago. The capture of Hama gives them control of a strategic central city they never managed to seize before. French President Emmanuel Macron said he will name a new prime minister in the coming days to prevent France from sliding deeper into political turmoil, projecting growing pressure from the opposition to resign after Michel Barnier's resignation followed a no-confidence vote in Parliament. In a 10-minute address to the nation, Macron rejected opposition pressure to stand down, vowing to stay in his post, and I quote, fully until the end of the mandate in 2027. South Korea's governing party chief showed support for suspending President Yoon Suk-yeol. It's a bombshell reversal that makes Yoon's impeachment more likely. Meanwhile, South Korean police are investigating President Yoon for alleged insurrection over his short-lived declaration of martial law. Military officials have been questioned by MPs. Yoon has not publicly spoken since an emergency vote in Parliament early on December 4th forced him to reverse his decision and is under pressure to resign.
계엄령 선포 당일에 윤석열 대통령이 주요 정치인들 등을 반국가 세력이라는 이유로 고교 후배인 여인형 방첩 사령관에게 체포하도록 지시했던 사실, 대통령이 정치인들 체포를 위해서 정보기관을 동원했던 사실을 신뢰할 만한 근거를 통해서 확인했습니다.
According to reports, Ukrainian President Zelensky's delegation met with senior representatives of US President-elect Donald Trump. The delegation met in Washington with Trump's choice for White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and his Ukraine envoy Keith Kellogg. The meeting is seen as an aim for Ukraine to build contacts with the incoming administration of Trump, who has promised to end the war with Russia in Ukraine upon taking office. Donald Trump has selected former Georgia Senator David Perdue to serve as his ambassador to China. Now, Perdue has significant business experience in Asia, including China, something he ran on during his Senate election in 2014. As the former CEO of Dollar General and a top executive at Reebok, Perdue was responsible for significant corporate restructuring and global expansion and has lived in both Singapore and Hong Kong. More than 300 protesters have been arrested since mass protests erupted in Georgia 6 nights ago, and an increasing number of accounts have emerged alleging violent attacks by police. Demonstrations have continued every night since last Thursday after ruling party, the Georgian Dream, said it was halting the country's bid to start talks on joining the European Union. Georgian Prime Minister has accused opposition politicians of orchestrating the violence, blaming them for the injuries. The investigation into the shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson appeared to gain steam as the New York Police Department released photos of a man wanted for questioning in connection with the killing. The words "deny, defend and depose" were written on shell casings recovered from the scene of the murder of Brian Thompson. Police are still searching for the gunman who opened fire on Thompson Wednesday morning outside a New York City hotel. A Boeing plea deal intended to resolve a case related to 2 fatal crashes of its planes has been rejected by a U.S. judge. The plane maker agreed with the U.S. government in July to plead guilty to 1 count of criminal fraud, face independent monitoring, and pay a $243 million fine. However, Judge Reed O'Connor struck down the agreement on Thursday, saying it undermined the court and that diversity requirements for hiring the monitor were quote-unquote contradictory. A gunman who shot and critically wounded 2 kindergartners at a tiny religious school in Northern California before killing himself suffered from mental illness. Sheriff confirmed that the gunman used a ruse of pretending to enroll a grandson to gain entry to the school.
We have identified the individual responsible for the shooting as a subject named Glenn Litton. He is 56 years old. He has a lengthy criminal history and history of mental health issues. His first prison sentence was in 1991 for theft. Several other convictions for various crimes to include theft, fraud, forgery in the 90s and early 2000s.
Mexico's president has said she will ask U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to deport non-Mexican migrants directly to their home countries rather than leaving them at the Mexican border. President Claudia Sheinbaum said she hopes to reach an agreement with Trump so that they send people who come from other countries to the countries of origin.
Y esperamos tener un acuerdo con la administración Trump en caso de que haya estas deportaciones, pues para que ellos también envíen a sus países de origen a las personas que vienen de otros países.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian met with Chinese Vice Premier Chang Gong in Tehran. Zhang said Iran is a country with important regional and international influence and an important comprehensive strategic partner of China. Now, Pezeshkian said Iran attaches great importance to developing Iran-China relations, which are of great strategic importance as well. Arsonists extensively damaged a Melbourne synagogue on the 6th of December in what Australian police say was an anti-Semitic attack. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese blamed anti-Semitism in a separate statement. Victoria Police Detective Inspector Chris Murray said a witness who had come to Adass Israel synagogue to pray saw 2 masked people spreading an unknown accelerant inside the building. About 60 firefighters with 17 fire trucks responded to the blaze, which caused extensive damage. Listen in.
First and foremost priority is to identify those individuals that are responsible for this. We believe it was deliberate. We believe it has been targeted. What we don't know is why, and we'll get to the why. I'm here in the capacity as the officer in charge of the Arson Explosives Squad to give that reassurance to the community that we will do everything we can to bring these individuals before the courts, and to let the community know that we're going to do our best to make sure that they can return, as they should, to their local synagogues and do what is absolutely Australian, that is, to be able to worship without fear.
Hundreds of protesters took to the streets demanding an end to police violence against black and poor people. They demand justice for the victims. The demonstration was organized by civil rights activists after videos allegedly showing cases of misconduct by police officers emerged this week. In one of the videos, a police officer was seen throwing a man off a bridge and into a river, prompting a backlash. The victim survived.
Esse ato é em solidariedade aos familiares que perderam entes, das suas famílias assassinados pelo Estado, mas também nós exigimos pela punição dos assassinos, por justiça por esses familiares e para que a gente não seja mais alvo. E para isso nós precisamos desmilitarizar a polícia militar.
Nos últimos 2 anos, sob o governo Tarcísio, foi de 78% de mortes cometidas por policiais. Então isso não é um acidente, isso é uma política de Estado para pressionar, para piorar a situação de repressão do genocídio que a gente já conhece. Então a gente está vendo muitos assassinatos de pessoas das periferias de gente preta por parte do Estado.
Ghana's presidential elections have largely been dominated by the country's economic crisis. The two main political parties vying for Ghana's presidency held their final rallies in Accra on the 5th of December. Former President John Dramani Mahama of the National Democratic Congress is the main opposition candidate, facing Mahamudu Bawumia of the ruling New Patriotic Party. Argentinian retirees marched in protest against the government's decision to limit access to free medications affecting millions who used to get free drugs through the retirees' public health insurance government agency known as PAMI or PAMI. The measure, which the government claims is aimed at reducing resource misuse, has sparked outrage among retirees who rely on these benefits to survive. Now, most retirees receive a minimum pension of around $250.
La verdad no pensé a esta edad volver a vivir esto. La verdad no pensé volver a vivir esto. No puede ser que no tengamos los remedios, no puede ser que no lleguemos a fin de mes, no podemos pagar un alquiler, no podemos pagar los impuestos.
Traditional design and practices for building for Chinese wooden arch bridges were included in the list of intangible cultural heritage by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, on the 5th of December.
When you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing. Get the flexibility you need with VeryPay. Pay now, pay later, or pay over 3 months and pay no interest. We'll even send you helpful payment reminders. Shop the online store for fashion, home and more. VeryPay. Ways to pay that work your way.
Say hello to your perfect shape with the Velform Cross Compression Shaper from JML. The incredible figure-enhancing shapewear with an X-Flex cross-panel design that instantly flattens your tummy, shaping away unwanted love handles whilst helping to smooth away back fat to minimise muffin tops. It's comfortable to wear all day and it's discreet so it won't show under your clothes. Achieve the silhouette you've always wanted with the Velform Cross Compression Shaper. Only $19.99 from Asda, Boots, Morrisons, Tesco and JMLdirect.com.
There once was a tree, lovingly made to look real, yet looking real wasn't enough. It wanted to be real. One night it wondered, where are my roots? And an answer came. Your roots will grow within the hearts of those around you, as you create very real memories. And for the first time, the tree felt real joy. Shop Cyber Week savings at balsamhill.co.uk.
Save up to £220 on your home insurance. He's just used Confused. Justusedconfused.com.
In People's Postcode Lottery's January draws, you could win a share of £17.7 million. Sign up before midnight on the 31st of December.
Imagine Christmas without the Salvation Army. Imagine George alone on Christmas Day with just his memories. Imagine Mike, cold, frightened and nowhere to go. Imagine little Charlie, hoping that this year Father Christmas will come. Without the Salvation Army, so many vulnerable people would simply have nothing this Christmas. Please call 0800 472 5777 and give £19 or whatever you can afford. Your £19 will help bring gifts and hope to a family living on the breadline. Bring a homeless person hot food and the chance to get off the streets for good. And give lonely older people a Christmas dinner where they can make new friends. For many, Christmas simply isn't Christmas without the Salvation Army. please call 0800 472 5777 now. That's 0800 472 5777. Thank you.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
According to a regulatory filing, Elon Musk's XAI has raised $6 billion in new capital, wrapping up a funding round that has been in the works for months and was set to value the artificial intelligence startup at more than $40 billion. Britain has approved Vodafone's $19 billion merger with Hutchison's 3 UK to create the country's biggest mobile operator after their investment promises outweighed concerns about higher customer bills. The Competition and Markets Authority, or the CMA, said the combined group's network investment plan would drive competition in the long term, dropping its objection that a move from 4 to 3 networks could push up prices. Citigroup has announced the promotion of 344 executives in 29 countries to managing directors, also known as MDs. A memo sent to all employees by the Executive Management Committee said this year had gone one of the largest MD cohorts in the firm's history. This year's promotions are taking place after the sweeping reorganization of Citi's businesses that began last year to simplify the bank and eliminate management layers. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, a group known as OPEC+, agreed to keep oil production at the current levels for the first quarter of 2025. 8 OPEC+ countries, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, the UAE, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria, and Oman, said they would extend voluntary output cuts of 2.2 million barrels per day, originally announced in November 2023, to the end of March 2025. Now, OPEC Plus delayed the revival of its oil production by 3 months. The third time it's deferred the move while crude oil prices struggle amid a looming surplus. The number of Americans filing for first-time unemployment benefits rose by more than anticipated last week, pointing to a cooling labor market. Initial jobless claims in the U.S. climbed to 224,000 in the week ended on the 30th of November, a small increase from the revised total of 215,000 in the previous week. Economists had forecast a consensus figure of 215,000. The number of people receiving benefits after an initial week of aid, known as continuing claims, fell 25,000 to a seasonally adjusted 1.871 million. Tech giant Google has said its new AI model family has a curious feature: the ability to identify emotions. Announced on Thursday, the Polygemma 2 family of models can analyze images, enabling artificial intelligence to generate captions and answer questions about people it sees in photos. According to reports, Google has said that the Polygemma 2 generates details, contextually relevant captions for images. It goes beyond simple object identification to describe actions, emotions, and the overall narrative of the scene. Intel has named 2 chip industry veterans to its board as the semiconductor firm looks for a new face to replace former CEO Pat Gelsinger. Former CEO of chip-making equipment provider ASML, Eric Maurice, and interim CEO of microchip technology, Steve Sanghi, are the 2 new additions to its board. Both Maurice and Sanghi have previously worked at Intel. OpenAI has launched a brand new version of its chatbot ChatGPT. The new version, made for engineering field and for research, would cost $200, which is about 17,000 Indian national rupees per month. The new version, dubbed as ChatGPT Pro, will be an addition to OpenAI's existing subscription of ChatGPT Plus. Uber has 30 days to require certain drivers to get fingerprinted if the ride-hailing giant intends to continue transporting unaccompanied teens in California. The California Public Utilities Commission, or the CPUC, has issued a ruling that requires taxi and ride-hail drivers who are carrying unaccompanied minors in the state to pass a fingerprint background check. The ruling also requires transport companies to pay the cost of those background checks. Approximately 100 to 125 firefighters battled a brush fire in Maryland's Baltimore on the 5th of December, rather the evening of the 5th of December. The fire was not under control, but the crews have gained an upper hand. Interstate has been shut down within the city. The light rail is closed in some areas, and at least 2 high schools have been closed on December 6th. Now, Baltimore City Fire Chief said crews are trying to protect the Interstate 83 freeway and the city's light rail system.
So shortly after 5 o'clock tonight, our units were dispatched for a brush fire, a 1900 brand. When they got here, they discovered a rapidly evolving fire that was in a large pile of trees and logs in a large area that stages just that. Lots of trees, logs, stumps, and things like that. This has been a challenge because it's been a wind-driven fire. It's been very difficult for us to get out ahead of it.
The National Weather Service has cancelled its tsunami warning for the U.S. West Coast after a 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck early 5th December. At least 5.3 million people in California were under a tsunami warning after the earthquake. The U.S. Geological Survey issued a yellow alert and predicted localized but minimal damage. The quake was felt as far as south as San Francisco, where residents felt a rolling motion for several seconds. It was followed by smaller aftershocks. Snow squalls created whiteout conditions in part of the northeast U.S. during a storm. In Ohio, travel bans were in place in the northeast corner of the state along Lake Erie. Up to 5 feet of snow was on the ground earlier in the week, and more was in the forecast. Part of Pennsylvania along the lake was under a blizzard warning. Surrounding counties in the region were also under lake effect snow warnings. Defending champion Ding Lorraine said no one is better after settling for a draw in Game 9 against India's Gukesh Dommaraju at the FIDE World Championship. Both the contestants have 4.5 points apiece. Gukesh views the remaining games as 5 more exciting games to go, while Ding believes it is too early to think of tiebreakers. December 6th is a rest day. The match resumes with Game 10 tomorrow, December 7th. Listen in to what the players have to say.
So far, it's been a very interesting match. A few missed chances for me, a few missed chances for him. So overall, it's been we've both shown fighting spirit and some entertaining chess, and 5 more exciting games to go.
And that means we are at the same strengths. No one will clear better at this match, so it's going to be tough to win.
2-time SIBA Young Award winner Blake Snell says it was a really easy decision to sign the World Series Championship Los Angeles Dodgers. Snell also mentioned that the presence of 3-time MVP Shohei Ohtani played a part in his decision-making. Snell was introduced at the Dodgers Stadium accompanied by his agent Scott Boras. The left-hander finalized a $182 million 5-year contract on the 30th of November. Listen in.
It's really easy. Just because me and Haley wanted to live here. It's something we've been talking about for a while. And then you look at the team, you look at what they've built, what they're doing. It's just something you want to be a part of. I mean, look at the first 3 hitters in the lineup. It's tough to go against. So to be on the other side, know that they're going to be, hitting for me, Yeah, pretty exciting.
Skiers took to the slopes after a snowstorm dumped several feet of dry, fluffy snow in New England. The sudden burst of heavy snow and gusty winds created whiteout conditions in part of the Northeast. Now, the area has seen steady snowfall since the end of Thanksgiving weekend. Snowfall was rather predicted to start from the 21st of December. Take a listen to this skier from Vermont Stowe.
That's great. It's awesome to see some snow in the mountains right now. I know it's early December and usually it's a hit or miss, but everything's covered and trees included. It's not just where they blew snow. And conditions are typically early season, which means to say it's icy and hard, except for the sizable fluff, which is nice to see this early on.
Britain's Royal Mint unveiled a £5 coin collection paying tribute to the former Beatle legend, Paul McCartney. The official Paul McCartney coin bears a design approved by the iconic musician himself. In fact, it features several references to his career, including his magic piano, musical notes chosen by the star, the Wings logo, and a Hofner violin bass guitar. The coin, minted in a variety of finishes, including a colored edition, arrives as the star continues the European leg of his Got Back tour. ASAP Rocky, Martha Stewart, Angel Reese and Gabby Thomas were among the honorees at the 38th Footwear News Achievement Awards in New York. Stewart was named Icon of the Year. She has a deal with Skechers. Meanwhile, rapper ASAP Rocky and Puma were recognized as the Collaboration of the Year for the brand's F1 partnership. Other fashion and sports icons at the event included Billie Jean King, Donna Karan, Nikki Hilton, and Jackie Joyner-Kersee. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree was lit for the first time Wednesday night in Midtown Manhattan, kicking off the holiday season in earnest. This year's tree is from West Stockbridge, Massachusetts, the first tree to come from that state since 1959. Recording artist and talk show host Kelly Clarkson returned to host Christmas in Rockefeller Center for a second year.
Dreams come true, come to the other side. I can feel energy. I believe it's healing me. All I need is sweet release in the freedom of the night. Freedom of the night.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I've got a few rounds left to go. And I don't want my lot to have to worry about funeral costs. Let them spend their money on nicer things. So I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period, unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years for full cover. With Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one, and you're covered for the whole of your life. Plus, unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call.
Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To find out more about Cover Today, call our friendly UK team on 0800 380 0060 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
Quickly remove unwanted hairs with the new U Body and Face Trimmer from JML. Your pain-free way to tackle any unwanted hairs that pop out of nowhere. The wide dual head design and floating heads adjust to the curves of your skin. Gentle enough to use on your upper lip, knees and ankles, and even your bikini line. No nicks, cuts or irritation. Remove unwanted hairs anytime, anywhere with the new U Body and Face Trimmer. Only $19.99 from Asda, Argos, Boots, Tesco and JMLdirect.com. JML, your Christmas made easier.
Dealing with my lot means making smart choices. And with our family growing, I want to protect the life we've built. That's why I'm calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
OK, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
Brilliant. If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought, and could help my husband pay off the mortgage.
With our Smart Family Guarantee and 99% of claims having been paid, you'll have peace of mind.
I'll go ahead.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 5753 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
An Israeli strike tore through a tent camp for displaced Palestinians in southern Gaza, killing at least 21 people. Israel said that it was targeting Hamas militants hiding there and that it took steps to avoid harming civilians. The attack comes as Amnesty International, a human rights organization, released a report on the war in Gaza that accuses Israel of genocide, and Israel rejected that report as false. French President Emmanuel Macron said that he will name a new prime minister in the coming days to prevent France from sliding deeper into political turmoil, rejecting growing pressure from the opposition to resign. This after Michel Barnier resigned following a no confidence vote in the parliament. In a 10-minute address to the nation, Macron rejected opposition pressure to stand down, promising to stay in his post fully until the end of the mandate, which is in 2027. Macron thanked the outgoing Prime Minister for his dedication during his brief term as Prime Minister and accused the French far-right and hard-left of collaborating in an anti-Republican front to bring down the government. The collapse of France's government failed to produce a renewed sense of hope amid strikers gathered in Paris on Thursday to protest proposed layoffs and budget cuts in the public sector. Demonstrators expressed defiance towards the country's political class at large, predicting a new government would likely address their anger as well as their frustration. South Korean police are investigating President Yoon for allegedly insurrection over his short-lived declaration of martial law. Military officials have been questioned by MPs, and it was earlier President Yoon who accepted the resignation of Defense Minister, who apologized for the role he played in Tuesday night's shock move. Yoon has not publicly spoken since an emergency vote in Parliament early on Wednesday forced him to reverse his decision and is under pressure to resign. And getting you more news, this is South Koreans poured into streets of central Seoul to protest against President Yoon for declaring martial law. Yoon is facing an impeachment vote following the stunning but brief imposition of martial law for 6 hours. That brought armed troops into Seoul streets. The Democratic Party and other small opposition parties submitted a joint motion to impeach Yoon on Wednesday over his martial law declaration the previous night. More than 300 people have been arrested since mass protests erupted in Georgia 6 nights ago, and an increasing number of accounts that have emerged alleging violent attacks by the police. Demonstrations have continued every night since last Thursday after ruling party Georgian Dream said that it was halting the country's bid to start talks on joining the EU. Georgian Prime Minister has accused the opposition politicians of orchestrating the violence, blaming them for the injuries. Elon Musk's artificial intelligence startup xAI has raised around $6 billion in equity financing as it races to compete with other AI firms. The funding comes as the startup seeks to raise billions of dollars to provide users with an alternative to OpenAI's ChatGPT, wrapping up a funding round that has been in the works for months now and was said to value the artificial intelligence startup at more than $40 billion. A Boeing plea, a deal intended to resolve a case related to 2 fatal crashes of its plane, has been rejected by a U.S. judge. The plane maker agreed with the United States government in July to plead guilty to 1 count of criminal fraud, face independent monitoring, and pay a $243 million fine. However, the judge, Reed O'Connor, struck down the agreement on Thursday, saying it undermined the court and the diversity requirements for hiring the monitor were contradictory. Dozens of Palestinian families in northern Gaza said that they were forcibly displaced when Israel's military expelled them from schools they were using as makeshift shelters. Families on the road have left with nowhere to go. Some left on foot, while others used motorized rickshaws, bicycles, or donkey carts to carry kids, older adults, and their remaining belongings. An 8-year-old Palestinian boy from northern Gaza who lost a limb in the latest Israel-Hamas war arrived in Portland in Oregon in the United States as part of a group of children evacuated from Gaza.